This is David and Stephanie. We pulled together the best itinerary jam-packed with local favorites.
Hey there, fellow travelers. Ever dreamt of sipping wine on a Parisian balcony, lost in the enchanting glow of the Eiffel Tower?
Or maybe you're always wanted to stroll along the Seine, pretending you're the lead in some moody, black and white French film?
Well, guess what? You're in luck, because we're about to take you on an adventure to the City of Lights, where cliches become reality, and every corner is more photogenic than the last. Between managing our full-time jobs and raising our baby girl, we put a lot of effort into this video. Paris is one of our favorite places to visit. We've made sure to include all the places that a first-time traveler would want to see. Hope you enjoy.
Paris. Why visit, you ask? Well, why do bees make honey? Why do birds sing? And why does Stephanie insist on wearing berets?
Because it's what they do, David. And Paris isn't just a city, it's a whole vibe. It's the heartbeat of romance. It's the epicenter of style. And a place where you can finally justify eating 3 croissants in one sitting.
Or if you're Stephanie, you can butcher the French language with charm. Emphasis on charm, of course.
Hey, I'm working on it. Honestly, Paris is where you can fall in love with life all over again. Whether you're nailing that French accent, or like me, trying not to trip over the cobblestones in my new fancy Parisian shoes.
Now, when should you pack your bags and jet off to the slice of heaven? Stay tuned until the end, because we got the inside scoop on the best time to experience Paris in all its glory.
But first, let's get started on our Parisian escapade. Trust us, this itinerary is going to make you want to book a ticket faster than you can say oui oui.
Bienvenue to your first day in Paris. Now, I know what you're thinking. Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and all those spots packed with tourists wielding selfie sticks.
But we are doing this David and Stephanie style. All the must-sees and local gems too.
Start your day early, and by early I mean before Stephanie has even finished her first cup of coffee. Head straight to Trocadero, because there's no better way to kick off your Paris adventure than with a private sunrise over the Eiffel Tower.
By private, we mean you'll be sharing it with a few morning joggers and some very chic dogs. But it's worth it for that postcard perfect view.
From there, take a leisurely stroll through the Champ de Mars. It's like walking through a movie set with the Eiffel Tower as your co-star. It's impossible not to feel like a Parisian, even if Stephanie is stopping every 5 minutes for photos.
Guilty as charged, but can you blame me? This is Paris.
Next, we're hopping on the metro, Line 6 to Ile de la Cité, where you'll find the Notre Dame Cathedral. Even after the fire, she's as breathtaking as ever.
And speaking of indulgence, it wouldn't be a proper Parisian day without a picnic by the Seine. Don't forget to check out our second video on the best eats in Paris.
After lunch, it's time to channel your inner artist in Montmartre. The streets here are a living canvas, with every corner revealing something new, a quirky gallery, a street performer, or just a cafe that's just too charming to pass by.
By the time you reach Sacré-Cœur, you'll have burned off at least one pain au chocolat. The climb is steep, but the panoramic view of Paris is the kind of thing that makes you forget you were ever out of breath.
And to cap off the day, a sunset at the Louvre Pyramid is the perfect spot to reflect on your first day in Paris, or just to snap one last perfect photo before calling it a night.
Bonjour, sunshine! Day 2 in Paris, and guess what? We're skipping the crowds and diving into the hidden gems that only the locals know about. Today, we're living like true Parisians, with a touch of Stephanie's flair and David's, well, Davidness.
That's French for charm, obviously.
Start in Les Marais, the neighborhood that's like a beautiful puzzle, minus the missing piece, because this place has everything. We're talking about cobblestone streets, historic mansions, and of course, a cafe on every corner.
Place de Vosges is where you want to begin. It's Paris' oldest planned square, which sounds super fancy because it is. Sip your morning cafe a latte here and soak it all in.
And if you're like me, you'll be planning your future Paris apartment right there, with a little balcony and all the ivy.
Next up is Musée Carnavalet, This museum is all about the history of Paris from the French Revolution to the swinging 60s, and the best part? It's free! Wander through grand rooms that make you feel like you're staring in your own historical drama.
But without the guillotine, thankfully. After all that history, it's time for something a bit more modern. Well, as modern as Paris gets. We're heading to Belleville, the neighborhood where street art isn't just an art form, it's a lifestyle.
Hop on the Metro Line 11 and prepare to be amazed. Rue de Noise is where it's all happening, with walls covered in vibrant murals that change almost as often as Stephanie's outfit.
Hey, I like to keep things fresh. And speaking of fresh, after lunch, we're diving into one of Paris' best-kept secrets, the covered passages. Think of these as the 19th century version of a shopping mall, but with way more charm and zero fast food.
With Passage des Panoramas, it's like stepping into a time machine, vintage shops, tiny restaurants, and a vibe that's straight out of a Parisian novel. You'll want to explore every nook and cranny.
And then the Galerie Vienne. It's all about the elegance here, with mosaic floors and boutiques that make you feel like you should be wearing a little black dress, even though you're window shopping.
The afternoon fades, make your way to the Palais Royal. Tucked behind the Louvre, it's one of those places that feels like a secret garden, perfect for a peaceful stroll or a few more photos for your Instagram.
And don't forget to play around the Colonnes de Burin. It's modern art meets classic Paris. Honestly, it's a lot of fun, especially when you try to balance on those striped columns in heels.
As the sun sets, you'll be wrapping up your second day in Paris, having explored places most tourists miss.
Bonjour, bright and early on day 3. Let's get started. Morning at the Musée d'Orsay. It's like the Louvre's cooler, more artsy cousin. You know, the one who always has all the best party tricks. This museum is packed with impressionist masterpieces. Think Monet, Van Gogh, and all those paintings you pretended to know about in school.
As you stand in front of Van Gogh's Starry Night, try not to get too dizzy. If anyone asks, just say you're overwhelmed by the beauty of art. Or, you know, that you haven't had your second cup of coffee yet.
After your artistic enlightenment, take a leisurely stroll through the Latin Quarter. It's like a maze designed by someone who had too many espressos.
But getting lost here is part of the charm. Every winding street has a hidden courtyard, a bookshelf, or a cafe that feels like it was made just for you.
Our next stop is the Montparnasse Tower. Now hear me out. Everyone goes to the Eiffel Tower for the view. But here's an Explorer pro tip. Montparnasse Tower has the best view because it's the only place where you can't see the Montparnasse Tower. Genius, right?
Funny, Stephanie. Plus, you get a great view of the Eiffel Tower from here, and that's what you really came for, isn't it?
As the afternoon turns into evening, it's time to channel your inner jazz aficionado. Head to Saint-Germain-des-Prés, where the jazz clubs still echo with the sounds of legends. As you sway to the music, you'll feel like you've stepped back in time to a more glamorous, smoky era. Bonjour, beautiful people. It's day 4. Are you ready to step into the most iconic art museum in the world and stroll down the most famous avenue? Today's the day where we get on our culture and do Paris like true connoisseurs, because nothing says I'm living my best life like getting lost in the Louvre and strutting down the Champs-Élysées.
And by lost, we mean seriously lost. The Louvre is like a maze designed by a genius who wanted to keep you inside forever. Surrounded by some of the most breathtaking art ever created, trust me, it's worth every wrong turn.
First stop, the Mona Lisa, of course. But don't just stop there. You've got the Venus de Milo, the Winged Victory, and countless other masterpieces that'll have you saying, wait, I've seen this in my art history book.
Explorer pro tip, take it slow. The Louvre is a marathon, not a sprint. Pace yourself, admire the details, and maybe even pretend you're an art critic with a mysterious background. Who knows, you might impress some fellow tourists.
After soaking in all that culture, it's time to give your brain a break and indulge in a little Parisian retail therapy. Exit the Louvre and head straight for the Champs-Élysées, Paris's most glamorous runway where you're the star.
And no need to stick to window shopping. Whether it's the latest French fashion or just a tiny souvenir to remind you of your trip, the Champs-Élysées has it all.
Of course, we can't forget the Arc de Triomphe at the end of the Champs-Élysées. Climb to the top if you're up for it. The view is totally worth it, especially if you time it with the sunset.
And just to make sure we check all of the boxes, let's cross over Pont Alexandre III, arguably the most beautiful bridge in Paris. With its ornate lampposts, golden statues, and sweeping views of the Seine, this is the perfect spot to watch the sun dip below the horizon.
As you stand on the bridge, the Eiffel Tower twinkles in the distance. You'll realize that Paris isn't just a city. It's a feeling, a mood, an experience. And you, my friend, have lived it to the fullest.
For your final night in Paris, let's end it with a bang, literally. Head to the Moulin Rouge in Montmartre for a night of glitz, glamour, and unforgettable entertainment.
Oh, and if you're still hungry for more, and no pun intended, be sure to catch our next video, where we dive into the world of Parisian food and culture. Trust us, you won't want to miss all the deliciousness coming your way.
When you thought our Parisian escapade couldn't get any more magical, we're throwing a little extra pixie dust.
Today, we're off to Disneyland Paris, because really, what's a trip to France without a bit of fairy tale fun?
Yay! Disneyland Paris, a place where even the most sophisticated Parisian can help but hum It's a Small World, and where Stephanie inner child is basically doing cartwheels.
Guilty as charged. But seriously, David, I think we can all agree Disneyland is where dreams come true. Plus, where else can you see Mickey Mouse rocking a beret?
Alright, let's start with the essentials. We're heading out early because Disneyland Paris is like a roller coaster. You want to get there before the crowds hit.
And after you zoom through the galaxy on Hyperspace Mountain, it's time to slow things down with a stroll on Main Street, USA. It's like stepping into a postcard from the early 20th century, complete with those horse-drawn carriages and charming shops.
And don't forget to wave at Mickey and the gang as they pass by in the parade. And no, Stephanie, I don't think you can ask Minnie for fashion advice, although you probably try.
Hey, girls got to dream. Speaking of dreams, we're heading next to Sleeping Beauty Castle. It's the centerpiece of Disneyland Paris. And let's be real, it's the most Instagrammable spot in the whole park.
And if you're more into swashbuckling than fairy tales, Pirates of the Caribbean is just around the corner. It's a classic dark cave, treasure chest, and animatronic pirates singing their hearts out.
What's a day at Disney without a few thrills, right? So next up, let's hit Big Thunder Mountain. It's a Wild West themed ride that's full of twists and turns and just enough speed to make you scream. Without losing your Mickey ears, hopefully.
By now, you're probably ready for a break. And there's no better way to relax than a riverboat cruise around the park. Plus, it gives you time to plot your next move.
Which, of course, has to be meeting Disney princesses. Head over to Fantasyland, where you can snap a pic with Cinderella, Ariel, and the whole royal gang.
I think I'll stick to more adventures like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. This one's for the adrenaline junkies. Sharp turns, steep drops, and all the excitement of a treasure hunt gone wild. Just remember to keep your hats on.
As the day winds down, it's time for one last magical moment. Head back to Sleeping Beauty Castle for the nightly fireworks and light show. There's nothing like watching the sky light up with colors, music, and the castle glowing like it's straight out of a fairy tale.
It's the perfect way to end a day of fun and adventure. And just like that, we wrap up our Disney day with a bang, literally.
As you make your way back to Paris, tired but with a heart full of memories, you'll realize that whether you're strolling along the Seine or spinning in a teacup, Paris truly is a city where dreams come true.
So here's to a day of magic, laughter, and just a bit of pixie dust. Goodbye, Disneyland Paris. Until next time, Stephanie inevitably drags us back.
Paris is like a fine wine. It's good all year round, but some seasons have a special bouquet. Spring paints the sky in pastels, with cherry blossoms dotting the parks. Summer brings long, lazy days, perfect for picnics and outdoor concerts.
Fall drapes Paris in golden hues, ideal for cozy cafe dates. And winter? Oh, winter turns Paris into a twinkling wonderland that would make even Scrooge believe in magic.
And there you have it, folks, our whirlwind tour of Paris, from iconic landmarks to a day of Disney magic. But don't pack up your beret just yet. Barely scratch the surface of what this incredible city has to offer.
Exactly. If you think Paris is all about sights, just wait until you dive into its food and culture. Trust me, there's a whole world of flavors and experiences that will make you fall even more in love with the City of Light.
So stay tuned for our next video, where we'll be exploring the best Parisian eats, from croissants to coca vin, and diving into the vibrant culture that makes Paris so irresistible. You don't want to miss it.
Until then, keep dreaming of Paris, and remember, life is meant to be lived with a little bit of French flair.